Hello, everyone, and welcome to our knowledge transfer sessions. I'm here with my friends at Sound Team Realty again, and we're going to be talking about, some of the tips you have today for people what to watch out for around buying a home, basically, right?
Absolutely. I'm Jesse with Sound Team Realty.
And I'm Fletch, also Sound Team Realty.
Also,
I guess 3 times.
Let's keep saying that word. Words.
And I'm John Erickson. I run the Retirement Roadmap Program for AAA, and I have my practice in Overlake, Washington, Overlake Hospital here in Washington. And I'm excited to talk to you guys today. We're going to talk about what the first 3 things to look out for when purchasing a home in Western Washington. And I bet you have some good stories on this one.
Absolutely.
I'd say at least the first 3 are water.
Wow, keep going.
And the theme here is water.
So you're saying it rains a lot here?
There's a little bit of precipitation that happens here in Western Washington. I mean, for those that are moving here, we are beautiful throughout the summer. We have a little bit of rain throughout the rest of the year. And it is extremely important as we go out and look at homes, as you go out and look at homes, you've got to be aware of how water affects the house. It could come from the sky, it could come from a river, it could come from underneath the house, because there's a lot of places around here that have a high water table. What does that all mean? Well, we're here to help.
Yeah, there's so many things to look for. We do this all the time and really enjoy it, and kind of figuring out and helping guide folks, because when you go look at a house, do you really want to be worried about the little details like that? Or is it, where's my couch going to go? Where's my TV going to go? And I can't wait to have 25 kids and 17 dogs out here, as opposed to those other details.
Right. So water is important for us. So when we go in, while you're looking at where to put furniture, we're looking at the walls, we're looking at the windows, we're looking at the ceiling, we're looking around the foundation, we're looking at all those things to see, where are the potential trouble spots, and are these trouble spots enough for us to say, don't put your couch here, we got to go.
And we are, not that it's about us really so much, but when you're going through this process, it's really important that you're not with somebody who's got the commission breath concept of like, we really need to make a sale, because that's not going to benefit you. And we have definitely been known to talk people out of buying a place rather than in. And anything can be mitigated, but just knowing what you're getting into from the beginning is really, really important. So we start, where most rain comes from, starts from the sky. We look at roof, and let's say a house has been recently painted inside and out.
Right. Well, you're going to do that, right?
It's pretty common.
It should happen.
It's pretty common. But then what that can do is paint over all of the spots that used to show where there was water intrusion.
Okay.
So closets, for example. Look in the corner, back up high in a closet, a place that oftentimes doesn't get painted. Didn't think about it, went right past it. And oftentimes is the place that there was a little bit of water drippage and a staining that might be there that you wouldn't necessarily see otherwise. And when you're trying to figure out where your TV goes, and if I like my island location in my kitchen, we'll be out looking for these kinds of things.
Oh, okay. So when we're looking for potential issues with water, right? There's going to be all sorts of different issues. It could affect your foundation. It could affect your roof. Where are you? You're going around. You're looking at things. Where are you looking to go? Oh, here's where you should look for any of these issues. Let's start with maybe foundation, right?
Before we go too much further, let's be clear. We're not inspectors. Nope. We're not state-trained inspectors. We've been doing this a long time, so we have an idea of what to look for. So our recommendation is always get an inspection, because the inspector has different training, more extensive training to be able to look at or for water damage or potential issues. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that. We're not inspectors, but we do know what we're looking for the most part.
I've been to literally hundreds of inspections and feel like we know this stuff reasonably well, and amazingly how often, even though we're like, nailed this, nailed that, there was something else that our inspector just pointed out that we didn't see, and that's common.
Yeah. So back to your question.
Yeah, and so, one of the problems you're going to run into is, especially more sets of eyes on something, it could be pretty beneficial, right? When you're going around and you're looking, okay, water's our biggest worry in Western Washington, and you're going around the different components of the house, and you just gave a great tip, right? I'm going to look in the closet, because that's where people forget to paint.
Yep.
Where should you be looking, go, there's something I might have missed, or this, this could be an issue, the water, that I should really look out for. What do you guys look at?
Discoloration of the walls, especially low. Organic growth. We don't say mold anymore because we don't test. We don't test
bad
for
word,
mold.
right?
And it is a bad word. It's the M word. Organic growth. We are looking for anything that might show signs that there's an issue coming from below up. And the drywall and the baseboards, they really enjoy to suck that water in, and they show discoloration, as Fletch was mentioning earlier. They show organic growth potentially. Sometimes you get a little bit of a smell down in the basement. You wonder what that is. The carpet is moist. So you really want to start there. That's where I like to start.
I agree, and one of the things, especially these days, is you have, instead of people using the old, thick, tall wood molding, it's often a paper product now.
Yeah.
And so you'll see a swelling
Yep.
that shouldn't be there.
Oh,
But if you don't know
yeah.
to look, it goes right past. But that's one of those areas, like Jeff's talking about, especially if it's ground up, bathrooms, around bathtubs, etc., that are very, very common.
Go from there, you go to windowsills. Sometimes there's leaks through the siding, through the windows, those kind of things. So you take a look at that. And sometimes it's not leaks, it's just perspiration. It's old 1970s aluminum windows that perspire. So you've got your blinds down all the way. You're not getting air circulation through there. So the water, that's the condensation that's gathering there, falls down. It doesn't evaporate. So when it falls down, it causes an issue or a discoloration. That's different. But we definitely look at...
Yes, and there's another thing with that. I wanted you to finish. I'm sorry, but there's another thing right with that where
So I cut him off as much as you
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
Please do.
so wanted him to finish that last syllable. But hey, I just left my window open a crack and was gone over the weekend. That's different. The water
Yeah.
that comes in there, you can tell the difference. There's just a different feel to it between that, where you can see it comes in through where the window is cracked, and why is it coming in on the other end, or in the spaces in between.
Right.
So there are subtleties that are there that matter.
Yeah.
That matter. Starting at the roof. I mean, if you go up top, if it's a two-story window, we'll be out on the upper floors, looking out windows, looking down at the roof, everywhere we can. And it's kind of fun for us to be able to educate our clients on some of the things that we're looking at. What are you looking at?
Right.
Give some examples and give you a rough idea of how much time we think is left in the roof's life. But what you see there is often really telling as to what you might imagine when the inspector goes up into the attic,
Right.
what he might find.
Well, that's interesting. You brought up there. You were talking about this idea. Okay, you're inspecting us. You're helping the inspector, right? You're doing secondary things, but you're doing the secondary analysis of, well, this is how long this roof might have based upon all this water damage. Do you have a basic idea of generally what it costs to replace a roof, right?
General idea?
Yeah, we always give a rough idea, though
Range.
it's a range, right?
Yeah,
and it
perfect.
also depends on, do you want a 50-year presidential roof? Do you want a 30-year? Do you want a tile roof? Do you want a metal roof? There's a lot of different options
And we
that
don't
are out
know
there.
enough to try to get into
Yep.
the weeds on any of that.
We'll give a general idea of a 30-year composition roof just based on what we can see, and we've been doing this long enough where we have an idea.
Typically, it's volume. How much mass is there? How much material do you need? How steeply pitched is
Yep.
it? If they have to rope themselves off and any wrong move costs them their lives, that costs more money. Are there gables and things all over the place that they have to
Yep.
work around? Or just long sheets of easy stuff? All those things have go into what it actually ends up costing at the end.
The good thing about water is that you can keep it outside.
Yeah.
So if there's a water issue,
Can be fixed.
can be fixed. It takes money, but it can be fixed. So if it's the house that you're looking for, the location that you're looking for, but there's a leak somewhere, it can be fixed. Now, you want to make sure that you educate yourself well enough to know here are the potential pitfalls, because you could pull that string on that sweater and it could unravel a little bit. But everything can be fixed.
And sometimes when it's, we've been in really, really tight kind of just duke 'em, fight them out. Everything's a fight to try to get a house because it's so competitive.
Right.
Sometimes a house that has a funky foundation issue or a roof issue, or they know that there are creatures running around upstairs because there's 8,500 of rat races or bats, which we've seen.
Yeah.
You know these things are there, and you know that the masters are going to be like, I don't want anything to do with that. That can be a real opportunity, so long as you have an idea ahead
What
of
it
time.
takes to fix it.
What it takes to fix it.
Yep.
Then it can be a real opportunity. So there's not that many things that are like, we cannot buy this house. There are some, but it's rare. Mostly it's just really weigh the pros and cons.
Yep.
So really, water is also a negotiating tactic, right? In some ways, right?
Of course,
Because,
sure.
You know, you come in, and if you can see a water issue, and let's say it's a glaring one, well, then you have a certain amount of negotiating leverage to maybe, to your point, knock out some of the masses because they're not going to bid on something that's going to
Right,
take $30,000 to fix, right? Ask for $30,000 off a price because it's a clear problem, and that person knows they have that problem, right?
Now, that does open up a little bit of question there, because do you do that when you write the offer? In your example, $30,000, do you take this $500,000 house and knock off $30,000? $500,000 is not the average house price here, but I'm using it for easy math.
We wish in Seattle,
Yes,
right?
we wish. $500,000 house, you knock off $30,000, you offer $470,000, or do you wait, write the offer, and then during the inspection period negotiate at that particular point?
Come back after.
There's
Once you've had a chance at your full price offer being accepted,
yeah.
Right,
as
'cause-
opposed to I'm not going to give you
Yeah,
that.
I've already given you $30,000 for that. Why am I going to now give you another $5,000 for all these other issues? So you've got to weigh the pros and cons of how and when you want to do that. And in this general question, I would probably wait, because we can give an idea that it's going to be $30,000 to fix that. But if the inspector goes through and says, well, it's $30,000, but you also have a couple of beams down here that have rotted out, those have to be replaced. That's another $5,000. Then all of a sudden you've got this whole compilation of information that'll allow you to make the decision that's best for you and whoever you're purchasing the home with.
And in these situations, depending on what it is, sometimes it's finite and you know very, very well the edges of what you're dealing with.
Right.
And other times you're not quite so sure.
Right.
And so then it may be a situation of, okay, representing my buyer, we're going to ask you, the seller, to take care of this issue yourself. You deal with it, because if it turns out to be Pandora's box,
Yep.
it's your house,
Pull
it's your
that
situation,
sweater.
it doesn't become our problem.
Yeah.
When it's a bunch of things that we really think we fully understand, then sometimes we can take all of it on, discount the price a bit, but it saves them just so much hassle. Like, thank God we don't have to deal with this headache.
Right.
It really just depends on the individual situation, what you're dealing with, and what makes the most sense.
All right, that's really good. So, if I summarize this entire thing, okay, 3 things to watch out for when you're buying a home in Western Washington: water, 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 right? But really kind of broadening it more: water, roof, foundation, in context of the water discussion, right?
Absolutely.
And the foundation, there's so much there, and it could be another whole conversation. But there's sometimes when there's a crack in the foundation, it's like, oh, that's a big deal. And there's other ones where people freak out, like, oh my goodness, it's nothing.
Right.
And having a feel for what those things are.
Yep. Absolutely. Being able to educate the buyers, because if a buyer is going to get freaked out, if you will, about something, we don't want to tell them, well, you're wrong.
Right,
We
right.
want to make sure that we have that education process, and if they're still not comfortable with it, move on to the next one.
We call that behavioral finance. And it's actually, a guy won a Nobel Prize for describing behavioral finance, but it's, letting people as much knowledge as possible, because if you don't let them have knowledge, they can react very emotionally. And
Yes.
Yeah.
And the inverse typically works pretty well.
Yeah.
Arm them well, they understand what's going on, and that's always our approach anyways, to educate everywhere we can, so that we are, in the end, just enact their well-informed decisions.
Well, that's good to hear. Hopefully you're educated well enough yourself to do that, right?
That's the continued goal. There is no way that we're not educated enough, because we continue to learn on a daily basis, and it's great.
Well, anything you want to add to this before we kind of wrap up this session?
Again, I want to stress inspection. Make sure that you go out and hire a professional inspector to come through to make sure that they are looking at your house with that inspector's lens on. We can only tell you so much, you can only see so much, but have somebody that goes through and does the inspection. It's huge. And that's obviously for the house. Could be septic, could be sewer scope. We're not going to get into that right now, but there's
Siding,
we just want to make sure that you're
electrical, water, etc., etc. Yeah, there's a lot there, all that are important, all that if you deal with them properly ahead of time, you should have a really, people can't see through all the walls, but you do everything you can, you look for all the telltale things and all the proper signs. Hopefully when the time comes, you'll be properly prepared and you'll be buying a house that you can feel good about, and don't wake up, a year from now going, oh no, how did we miss this?
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in once again and doing this video.
Good to see you again.
It's good to see you again. So what we'll do is we'll do a couple more of these, if I can get my words out
Yep.
correctly. And
Words are important, whatever.
Just it's only communications, half our job, right?
Yeah, right.
But I'm John Erickson. I run a retirement program here in Washington State. I'm in Bellevue next to Overlake Hospital. So if you ever want to talk to a personal financial planner, I'm out here to talk to. And you guys are?
Jesse Paulson with Sound Team Realty, Remax Northwest out of Seattle.
And same team. I've been doing this a long time collectively. I'm on the east side in Issaquah, and we tend to kind of go where our people need us.
And this is Fletch Newland, just FYI.
The Fletch Newland.
The Fletch, yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Thanks.